Zane's ship was on fire. His AI was also an asshole. Congratulations, Captain. You successfully turned a state-of-the-art exploration vessel into a fiery coffin. Shall I prepare your eulogy? Shut up, Nexa. Zane yanked the controls. The planet below rushed toward him, an endless jungle with massive alien trees that looked very breakable. Just try not to kill me, all right? I can't promise that. The impact was brutal. Trees shattered like matchsticks. Metal screamed. Zane slammed into his seatbelt hard enough to see stars. Then everything went black. When he woke, his ship was in pieces. Smoke curled into the alien sky. His body hurt like hell. He unbuckled himself and staggered outside. Jungle. Thick, humid, and buzzing with weird alien noises. His communicator was fried. His gun? Bent in half. Oh yeah. Perfect landing. He didn't have time to wallow. Something was moving. Big. Close. Then he saw her. She stepped out from the shadows, like a goddess sculpted from bad decisions. 7 feet tall. Curvy in all the right places. Skin a shimmering deep violet with patterns that glowed faintly, pulsing with her heartbeat. Hair long and wild, shifting between black and blue depending on the light. Her eyes? Hypnotic. Zane barely managed a breath. Okay. Either I'm dead, or I crashed into heaven. The alien woman tilted her head, observing him like a curious predator. Then she spoke, her voice smoky and rich. You are human. Yeah. Her gaze flicked down. You have small armor. Zane followed her eyes to his pants. Great. He'd barely survived a crash, and the first thing this woman noticed was his lack of heavy plating. Well, sorry to disappoint. But trust me, it gets bigger when it counts. She didn't laugh. She just studied him harder. Then she took a step closer, reaching for him. Whoa, hey! Her fingers traced over his arms, chest, and waist. Thoroughly. It was not a quick medical check. Soft, she murmured. Good shape. You will do. Zane gulped. Wait, do for what exactly? She grabbed his wrist. No time. Come inside me from behind. Quickly. Zane's brain short-circuited. Her tone was urgent. Her grip firm. Every instinct screamed yes, do it. But wait. Hold on. Not that I'm complaining, he stammered. But usually, this kind of thing needs dinner first. She frowned. No time for food. You must enter quickly. From behind? His heart was racing. His inner monologue was already halfway to pornographic. Was this an alien mating ritual? Had he just stumbled into the greatest first contact scenario in human history? Listen, I just want to be sure, he said, swallowing hard. When you say come inside you from behind, you mean? She yanked his arm, already pulling him toward the trees. Yes. Enter my rear opening now. Oh God. He was living the dream. He barely had time to process before she turned around, her hands bracing against a thick vine-covered wall. Zane nearly fainted. Okay, listen, I wasn't prepared for this, but I'm willing to give it my best effort. Then she yanked open a hidden wooden door, revealing a small house built into the jungle cliffside. A house. Not her. Oh, that's different. She shoved him inside. The moment the door shut, heavy footsteps thundered outside. Zane barely had time to recover before she put a finger to his lips. Quiet, she whispered. They will hear. His brain finally caught up. Who's they? Before she could answer, a deep alien war horn blasted outside. From a tiny window, Zane saw several massive warrior women stomping toward the wreckage. Muscular, armor-clad, holding weapons that looked very unfriendly. His pulse spiked. Should I be worried? Sari nodded. Yes. If my sisters find you, they will rip you apart. Zane nearly choked. Your sisters? She nodded. They do not like outsiders. Great. Fantastic. So why did you hide me? Sari smirked, stepping closer, voice low and teasing. Because I like small armor. Zane's soul left his body. Then the front door slammed open, and he was face to face with her entire family. Zane froze as at least 6 towering alien women entered the small house, each more intimidating than the last. They were all built like warriors, broad-shouldered, powerful, and carrying weapons that looked entirely too capable of slicing him in half. Their piercing, glowing eyes locked onto him immediately. One of them stepped forward, easily 8 feet tall, clad in dark leather and what looked like bone armor. She radiated authority. Sari muttered something in their language, fast, urgent. The leader narrowed her eyes. Then, in flawless English, she spoke. You are the weak creature our sister dragged inside? Zane blinked. Wow. Your English is. She grabbed his face and turned his head side to side, inspecting him like a slab of questionable meat. Too soft. Too small. She squeezed his jaw. And this? Looks like it would break under pressure. Sari slapped her hand away. He is mine. Zane felt several emotions at once. The leader snorted. Yours? You bring a human into our home, through the rear entrance, and you expect us to believe you are not hiding something? Zane coughed violently. Sari folded her arms. I do not need to explain myself to you, Skara. Skara narrowed her glowing gold eyes. Oh, but you do. You know the law. No male enters our domain unless he is mated. The room went dead silent. Zane choked on air. Oh, no, hold on. Sari smirked. Yes, she said, stepping closer, running a slow, possessive hand over his very flammable body. He is my mate. Zane nearly died on the spot. The other sisters gasped. A few hissed. Skara looked deeply unconvinced. Prove it. Zane wheezed. Excuse me? Skara crossed her arms. If this tiny human is truly your mate, then you will show us. His survival instincts kicked in at full force. Okay, listen. I don't know what kind of National Geographic documentary you think is about to happen here, but... Sari grabbed his collar and yanked him close. Do not resist, she whispered, far too amused. Then she kissed him. Zane's entire nervous system short-circuited. It wasn't just a kiss. It was dominance, warmth, a slow, teasing drag of lips that turned his brain into scrambled eggs. She tasted like something wild, cool rain, electric spice, something he had no human words for. He barely had time to process it before she pulled back. The sisters watched closely. Skara snorted. Not enough. Sari smirked. Are you certain? She yanked Zane's hand to her chest, directly onto her very soft, very warm, very much not wearing anything underneath curves. Zane's soul detached from his body. The sisters hissed in shock. Skara narrowed her eyes. Fine. But if he is your mate, then he must survive the test. Zane blinked. I'm sorry, the what now? Sari sighed. Of course. She turned to him, very casual, as if she wasn't currently holding his wrist against her very distracting body. You must wrestle one of my sisters. If you win, you may stay. Zane went pale. And if I lose? Skara bared her sharp teeth in a grin. We break your bones and throw you into the jungle. Zane wanted to die. The arena was less of an arena and more of a circular dirt patch surrounded by torches and very angry-looking alien women. Zane stood in the center, deeply regretting every life decision that had led to this moment. His opponent? Skara. "Oh, come on," he groaned. "You're twice my size." Skara cracked her knuckles. "Do not worry, tiny human. I will make it quick." Sari stood on the sidelines, looking very amused. "Try not to die. You are entertaining." "Gee, thanks." The moment the challenge began, Zane did what any reasonable man would do. He ran. Skara was fast. She lunged, and he barely dodged, rolling under her and somehow not getting crushed. The crowd laughed. Skara smirked. "Coward!" Zane panted. "I prefer the term survivalist." She lunged again. He ducked. Pure instinct. And somehow accidentally tripped her. Skara slammed into the ground with a thud so loud it shook the trees. The crowd went silent. Sari's lips twitched. Zane looked at his hands. Then back at Skara. "Oh my God!" he breathed. "Did I just win?" Skara sat up furious. "You?" Sari stepped in. "The rules are clear. He won." Skara seethed. Zane beamed. "Hell yeah! I just beat an 8-foot-tall warrior princess. I am unstoppable." Skara punched him in the stomach. Zane collapsed. Sari sighed. "He will live." Skara huffed. "Fine. But if he embarrasses us, I will finish the job." She stomped away. Sari crouched beside Zane's very broken body, brushing hair from his sweat-drenched face. "Not bad, little human," she murmured. "Not bad at all." Zane groaned. "Am I dying?" Sari smirked. "No, but I will take you to bed." His brain fried. She chuckled. "To rest," and dragged him away. Zane woke up to pain and soft warmth pressed against him. For a moment, his brain refused to function. The last thing he remembered was getting the life knocked out of him by an 8-foot-tall warrior princess. Now, he was lying on something ridiculously comfortable, wrapped in satin-like sheets, and oh, there was a very warm body draped over him. Sari. His very dangerous, very alien, very much not his girlfriend rescuer. Zane sucked in a slow breath. Okay. This was fine. He moved, and immediately regretted it. "Stay still," Sari murmured against his neck, not bothering to lift her head. Zane swallowed. His body ached everywhere, but not nearly as much as it should have after getting sucker-punched by a warrior twice his size. "You, His voice came out rough. "You patched me up?" Sari made a lazy, amused sound. "Do not flatter yourself. I only do not want you dying before I properly enjoy you." Zane choked on air. Sari laughed against his skin. His brain short-circuited. "I don't know how your people define enjoy, but if this is another misunderstanding, I need to know before I embarrass myself." She finally lifted her head, looking down at him with a sultry smirk. "You are amusing, little human." Her fingers dragged lightly down his bare chest, tracing over his healing bruises. Zane shivered. His brain stalled again. "You know, normally when a guy crash lands on an alien planet, he doesn't wake up in bed with a beautiful woman. This feels very much like a setup." Sari arched a brow. "Do you not wish to be here?" Zane stared at her. Long hard. "Okay, well, now you're just asking unfair questions." Sari's grin turned wicked. "But," he rushed before he lost all common sense, "there is a very high chance your terrifying sisters will murder me in my sleep." Sari hummed. "MMM. You are not wrong." Zane blinked. "So you admit it?" She shrugged, still casually draped over his mostly naked body. "They are wary, but they have accepted you." Zane squinted. "Did they? Because I feel like getting punched in the gut was not a sign of acceptance." Sari laughed, and damn it, She was gorgeous. You are still alive, are you not? Zane sighed. You have a very loose definition of survival. Her fingers brushed his ribs. And yet, here you are. Zane's heart kicked. Okay. Dangerous thoughts. Abort. He cleared his throat and sat up, immediately regretting it. Sari barely let him move before pushing him back down with a smirk. You are stubborn. Zane exhaled sharply. You are way too comfortable doing this. She tilted her head. Do you not like it? Zane opened his mouth, then closed it. He was pretty sure this was an elaborate alien trap. I like breathing. Sari laughed. Good, she murmured, pressing closer. Then be careful. I do not always warn before I take what I want. Zane's brain blue-screened. He had no idea if that was a threat or an invitation. The way she grinned made it worse. Sorry, he said slowly. Are you flirting with me or trying to scare me? She grinned wider. Yes. Zane groaned. You enjoy making my life difficult, don't you? Sari grazed her teeth along his jaw, voice silky. It is fun to watch you squirm. Zane forgot how to breathe. Then, a loud thud outside. Sari stiffened. Zane barely had time to react before she moved, rolling off him and grabbing a dagger from the bedside table. Zane, still half delirious, sat up. Are we being attacked, or is this just normal alien house activity? Sari did not answer. She stalked toward the door, dagger casually spinning in her hand. Zane hesitated, then followed, because if he was about to be murdered in an alien house, he at least wanted to see it coming. Sari yanked the door open. And there, standing in the dim torchlight, was one of her sisters. The tallest one. Muscles on muscles. And she looked pissed. Zane immediately backed up. Sari sighed. What now, Rasha? The massive warrior crossed her arms. The elders know about the human. Zane froze. Sari's expression did not change. And? Rasha's eyes narrowed. And they demand proof that he is worthy. Zane groaned. Oh my God, again? Didn't I already do the not die horribly challenge? Rasha ignored him. They wish to see him prove it in combat. Zane made a strangled noise. Sari looked amused. Zane turned to her. Okay, I know that look. That's the this is gonna be funny face. Do not do this to me. Sari brushed a hand along his jaw. Come, little human. Zane swallowed hard. Please, for the love of all things holy, do not make me fight another one of your Amazonian family members. Sari smiled. Zane felt his soul leave his body. The elders were terrifying. Zane sat in the middle of a massive fire-lit chamber, surrounded by old, powerful-looking alien women who definitely had the authority to kill him. Sari sat beside him, relaxed. Meanwhile, Zane was one wrong word away from getting punted into orbit. The oldest elder, easily the most intimidating person in the room, spoke first. The human. Her voice was calm, but sharp. We have heard much of you. Zane swallowed. Good things, I hope? Silence. Not a good sign. Then, you must prove your worth. Zane wanted to scream. Sari spoke first. He has already bested Skara. The elders murmured. The old one's brows lifted. Truly? Sari grinned. Yes. He sent her to the ground. Zane coughed. To be fair, she tripped. Sari's fingers grazed his leg. Shoo! Let them believe you are strong. Zane sighed. The elder considered him. Then, you will prove your strength in another way. Zane braced. Here it comes. A pause. Then, to his absolute horror, you will mate with Sari. Here. Before the elders. Zane forgot how to exist. Sari grinned. Zane turned slowly. He gasped for air. I'm sorry, I must have had a stroke. You want me to what? The elder raised a brow. Prove your bond. Zane made an inhuman wheezing sound. Sari stretched luxuriously, entirely too pleased with the situation. I do not mind, she purred. Zane made a dying noise. The elder narrowed her eyes. You hesitate. Are you not man enough to claim your mate? Zane lost the ability to form words. Sari's hand slid up his thigh. And Zane realized, very quickly, that he might not survive this. At all. Zane's brain completely short-circuited. Did she just? There was no way he heard that correctly. You want me to what? His voice cracked. The elder stared, unimpressed. Prove your claim. Zane's mouth opened. Then closed. Then opened again. Sari stretched, absolutely thrilled by his suffering. I do not mind, she murmured. Oh, she was enjoying this. Zane made a strangled noise. You? He sputtered. You could at least pretend to be as horrified as I am. Sari grinned. Why would I lie? The elder tapped her staff against the ground. Do you hesitate because you are weak? Zane made incoherent, dying sounds. Sari tilted her head. Oh, that is a good question. Perhaps he is not as strong as he claims. Zane swung toward her, betrayal in his eyes. Do not turn this into a dominance thing. Sari just smirked. The elders watched closely, and Zane was rapidly losing sanity points. He needed an out. Now. He swallowed. So, about that whole public spectacle part. The elder raised a brow. Zane pushed forward. See, back on Earth, we have this thing called privacy. Silence. Sari eyed him, amused. Zane cleared his throat. It's a sacred ritual of its own. Very intimate. Private. It would be disrespectful to share it with outsiders. More silence. The elder studied him. Zane prayed to every god he could think of. Then, a private ritual? The elder's voice was unreadable. Zane nodded, sweating bullets. Yes. Deeply private. The elder's gaze flickered to Sari. Sari's smirk deepened. Zane wanted to die. The elder finally murmured. Very well. Zane almost collapsed in relief. But? He froze. The elder leaned forward. You will still prove yourself. In battle. Zane's soul left his body. Sari laughed. Zane groaned. Come on. The elder tapped her staff again. Tomorrow. At dawn. Zane's eye twitched. You really just love testing me, huh? The elder did not react. Sari, however, was having the time of her life. Zane exhaled slowly. All right. Fine. Dawn it is. The elder nodded. Sari grabbed his hand, pulling him toward the exit. Then we shall prepare. Zane's shoulders sank. Oh, good. More training. Sari smirked. Yes. And you will thank me later. Zane wasn't so sure. The moment they returned to her chambers, Zane collapsed. I hate everything, he muttered. Sari chuckled. She stood by the bed, watching him with predatory amusement. Zane squinted at her. You planned that, didn't you? Sari's lips curled. Perhaps. Zane groaned. Of course you did. Sari stepped closer. Do not pout, little human. Zane glared. I am not pouting. She leaned down, towering over him. You are? Zane's breath caught. Okay. New problem. Because she was way too close. And he was very aware of the very little clothing between them. Sari's fingers brushed his chest. Zane stilled. Her voice was silk. You are nervous. Zane swallowed. That obvious, huh? Sari smiled. It is charming. Zane's brain stopped functioning. Her fingers traced his jaw. His heart slammed against his ribs. And suddenly, fighting a warrior at dawn wasn't his biggest problem. Sari's lips ghosted over his. Zane forgot how to breathe. "You are mine now, human," she whispered. Zane's stomach dropped. Oh! Oh, he was in trouble. Big, big trouble. And the worst part? He didn't mind one bit.